Okay, so good morning, everyone. And Christiana, lovely to have you with us here. My name is Pat Downs. I'm the CEO of the Institute of Management Consultants here in Ireland, and Christiana is joining us from abroad. So thank you so much for your time. The Institute, as part of its natural kind of evolution, has, I suppose, morphed over the recent years to do regular updates in terms of best practice and knowledge sharing in the space that our management consultant cohorts are interested in. And this particularly is one that everyone is interested in terms of LinkedIn. So we're really delighted to have you with us here this morning. And thank you once again for giving us of your time so freely, which is much appreciated. I would also note for some of you that may wish to get CPD afterwards, we can on demand issue CPD certification for this module. So I suppose maybe just to start off, Christiana, I suppose we were discussing this ourselves there over the last couple of days. LinkedIn really has become the premier platform for corporate and business engagement. If we look at the other social media platforms such as Facebook, while it's interesting, it's not really where a lot of the activity for our own practitioners would operate. Twitter, while equally interesting, is very much kind of in the now. It's very kind of pacey and punchy, but not necessarily granular to commercial and corporate exercises. And Instagram is, I suppose, for a different cohort. It's not really B2B, it's more B2C, and it's more visual, whereas a lot of our particular cohort would be more kind of report driven and output and product definition driven as well. So Christiana, as I say, you're a content strategist, a social media guru with a lot of years under the belt. You've seen the cutting edge, and you're a practitioner. So those are all very kind of important aspects in terms of sharing your knowledge with us. Christiana is very fortunate and almost chocolate to our ears, Christiana, insofar as you're down in the south of France at the moment. So that's the joys of working virtually, and also the joys of the world that is upon us now. So there's a great flexibility, and we know it within our own cohorts that a lot of our consultants actually are working for periods abroad, and that flexibility is wonderful by virtue of the communication platform that we've
Didn't get that. Could you try again?
Okay. Through the joys of Siri that bounced in, so forgive me. So again, Christiana, you're working with a lot of Irish companies, you're collaborating with them, you're managing their social media output and kind of using their resources most efficiently and making sure that their assets are well resourced in terms of getting good return on investment in their social media spaces, and particularly LinkedIn. So I guess it's fair to say that you really are kind of a fundamental believer in the solid building blocks of strategy in terms of how you approach the whole LinkedIn space. And from that point of view, you know, you would also look at the visual kind of building blocks that really kind of encompass and enhance LinkedIn profiles and that patterns. And you're going to talk us through the different steps in terms of the zeitgeist and where it's at the moment. I know the algorithms of LinkedIn have changed a little bit, and we've got a lot of interest in that space. And we have some questions already in from people that are going to watch the video or the recording thereafter. So as I often say, Christiana, it's not me they're here to see, it's actually you. So I'm going to hand it over to you, if that's okay, and we will take it out from there. So let me just make sure that you have sharing ability, and you have, and I grant you the floor, and I'm really looking forward to this.
Thank you so much for the introductions, Patrick. So let me share my screen. And here we go. Okay. Present. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, great. So welcome everybody to today's masterclass on how to rock your LinkedIn profile. Here are the key topics that I want to discuss. How can LinkedIn help your personal brand? How to create a great LinkedIn profile. I will explain what is the unique value proposition and why is it important to help you formulate a LinkedIn strategy. I will give you some tips on how to create valuable content. I will present you a case study with one of my clients that I've been working for the last 2.5 years. So what works and what doesn't work. Then I will talk a bit about the creator mode, the difference between the low quality posts versus the high quality posts. And then I will show you the metrics that you need to take into consideration to measure the impact of your strategy. And ultimately, I will give you some tips for posting on LinkedIn. So let's dive right into it because I am aware of your time. How can LinkedIn help your personal brand? So LinkedIn has a lot of advantages. And here are just a few. It can help you become an industry authority. So it can help you become the visible expert in your industry. It can help you stand out from your competitors. It can help you create a positive image and reputation. It can help you showcase your unique expertise and your success stories so you can show how you solve problems for your clients. It can generate brand awareness. And of course, it can help you build relationships with potential partners and clients that lead ultimately to new clients. How do we create a great LinkedIn profile? A great LinkedIn profile needs to answer these 7 questions. What do you want to be known for? So think about the goal, think about what you want to achieve on LinkedIn and make sure that your ideal visitors see this on your profile. Is your profile photo of great quality? So make sure it's centered, make sure you choose a great headshot, a high quality photo. Is your cover photo attracting your ideal visitors? Or is it just a photo of a field with some flowers? Is your headline answering the question whom you help and how? Is your about section written for your ideal visitors, or is it just a mumble jumble of your passions, what you like to do in your free time and your experience? Is your experience section aligned with your goal? And ultimately, are all the sections filled in? So make sure that your profile is optimized and make sure that it's aligned with the unique value proposition. And we will discuss in the next slide what the unique value proposition is. So whatever you do on LinkedIn, make sure you understand what you want to achieve, you identify your goal, and then you have all the sections filled in and you optimize it for success. But I won't discuss more about this subject because this is not what this masterclass is about. We will talk more about strategy, how to create great content, what are the metrics that you need to look at, and I will give you some tips for posting in order for you to beat the algorithm. So what is the unique value proposition? The UVP is the unique value that you provide as a business owner and the impact that it has on others around you. So your UVP is your why, is the reason for doing what you're doing. It's what sets your business apart, what inspires you to take action, and what inspires your clients to buy from you. So why is it important for a LinkedIn strategy? Your UVP will help you understand the role that your content will play on LinkedIn. So your unique value proposition should tell your clients why they should choose you. And this should be the first thing that they see when they come on your profiles. So when your ideal visitors visit your LinkedIn profile, it should be clear for them what is your unique value proposition, what is it that you offer, what are the benefits that they can get from working with you. And here are some examples of unique value propositions. So we can see that in all 3 examples, we get a clear image of the ideal client. So let's take the first example, the health and mind coach. The ideal client is represented by women in their 40s and 50s who want to get their hormones, habits, and motivation back on track. In the second case, for the management consultant, the ideal client is represented by HR managers who want to retain and develop working parents post-maternity and parental leave. And in my case, my target audience is represented by small business owners, coaches, and consultants who are looking for social media services. So it's very important that your UVP is clear and concise, and it offers a clear image of the ideal client. So how can we use our UVP to formulate a LinkedIn strategy? It's very important to make sure that your UVP stands at the core of your LinkedIn strategy. For example, let's take, you are a health and mind coach. So if you are targeting women in their 40s and 50s who want to get their hormones, habits, and motivation back on track, then you will create content that provides value and information on how to balance your hormones, how to develop healthy habits, and how to get back your motivation. You will share success stories. You will show how your services and products solve these problems. In order to formulate a LinkedIn strategy, you need to think about your content, and you need to think the value that your content delivers for your ideal audiences. What makes your content unique or better than your competitors? And will it stop the scroll? To know if your content is valuable, think about your audience. Is it solving an issue for your ideal audience? Is it providing value? And this is very important. Make sure that your content is providing value. Is it inspiring? Is it impactful? And is your content valuable to you? When I say you, I refer to the business, to the brand. So is it making people aware and connected to your brand, to your business? Is it covering a topic that links to your services or products? So always write with the end goal in mind, and always write for your ideal audience, of course. Moving on, I would like to present to you a case study. But before I start, I want you to know that every business is unique, and there is no one size fits all. So what works for one business might not work for your business. To me, the social media is all about testing out and seeing what works for you. So in this case, my client is a career and confidence coach. Her UVP is empowering women to raise their horizon. Our LinkedIn strategy is based on monthly content themes, 3 to 4 weekly posts, authentic content based on personal stories, success stories, and valuable information that helps you have the career that you want and helps you improve your confidence. Our goals are to generate brand awareness, to get more people direct message us, more discovery calls, and ultimately new clients. So the metrics that we take into consideration are the number of followers and the number of connections, the impressions, the reactions, and the number of direct messages. And our LinkedIn strategy has 4 phases. We start by identifying the problems and the challenges that our past and current clients face. What are their expectations and how to best address them? Then we identify the content themes that will show how we can solve problems with coaching. We formulate a content strategy by setting up the goals and translating the main themes into content. The type of content, will it be video, will it be text, an image, a poll, and the frequency. And ultimately, we identify the metrics that we need to take into consideration to measure the success of our strategy. We look at what works and what doesn't work. And of course, we make changes to the strategy after that, and we do it all over again. So I use this process with all of my clients, and I encourage you to implement it as well. So what works? Again, I want to remind you that every business is different, and what works in this case might not work for your business. So I recommend that you test and you try out different types of content and see what works for you. So we found that the personal stories were the most successful pieces of content. And the goal of sharing these stories was to show the human side behind the brand and to connect with the audience. So as you can see, the number of impressions, the number of reactions, and the number of comments are quite high. Let's take the first post. So we wrote a post about how my client met her partner and how he gave her the gift of perspective, and how she understands that our perspective influences our emotions and our decisions. So through coaching, you can change your perspective. So we linked this story, this very, very personal story, to her brand and to her business. And as you can see, it's the most successful post that we've shared. So I think if you can find a way to connect all these personal stories to your brand and to your business, you will see great success. Another type of content that works is represented by client stories. The goal is to show the challenges that the clients have and the results that they can achieve through coaching. And even though the number of impressions is lower than the personal stories, the number of reactions is still quite high. But these are not the only metrics that we take into consideration. We also look at the number of direct messages, and I can tell you that these client stories made a significant change. So we saw we received more direct messages, and more people that were interested in booking a discovery calls and seeing if they could potentially work with my client. Another type of content that works is represented by workshops, events, podcasts, interviews. And the goal is to build reputation and credibility. So every time my client was featured in the media, we made sure to share this on LinkedIn. All the workshops that she delivered, if she delivered, if she was interviewed for the podcasts. So like I said, every time she was featured in the media, we made sure to let the world know. And as you can see, the number of reactions for the first post is quite high. So this is a recent post, and the number of impressions is lower than we would normally expect. But like I said, it's a recent post, and I'm sure it will keep getting traction in the next months. And the last type of content that works is represented by content that offers value: tips, guides, brochures, how-tos, how to have the career that you want, how to build your confidence. So what doesn't work? We found that the testimonials don't work very well. So when we started working together, we used to create a nice visual when we received the testimonial, and then just write some text saying, "Thank you, John, for this wonderful testimonial." But the response wasn't satisfying. So we changed the approach. What we did instead was to write a story about how my client solved a problem for one of her clients. And then we added the testimonial to the text to build credibility, to add credibility to the story. And we saw more engagement to posts like this. No context selfies. So the odd selfie here and there is fine, but make sure you don't add a selfie to every post that you share. And I have to admit, I removed a lot of connections because they shared a selfie or photos with their kids for every post that they made. And I find that this hurts the brand and the business, because we want to see value, and sometimes I couldn't see the connection between the selfie and the message. So please be aware of that. Content that is not authentic doesn't work. So make sure you focus on storytelling. Try to avoid using too much information or definitions or stats. We remember stories more than we would remember a stat. Overly promotional content. So when we started working together, we were promoting one of her coaching programs. And while LinkedIn is great for generating brand awareness, it's very slow in making a sale. And we had to change our approach because the program wasn't selling. And what we did instead was to offer value. So we started writing all these posts about how to build your confidence, giving all this information, and then sharing the success stories. And then we saw that people responded better to these types of content. And posts that are not related to your business or to the brand won't help you. They can even hurt the brand. Moving on. Okay, so before we go on, I just want to remind you that this is it's not one size fits all. So make sure that you test and you try to see what works for your business, because like I said, every business is unique. Let's talk a bit about the creator mode. I'm sure that most of you already know what it is. It's a setting that can help you grow your reach and influence on LinkedIn, as you can see in the screenshot. So what changes The connect button changes to follow. You can display topics as hashtags. And this is very important because it shows people the topics that you talk about. So the topics that you are an expert in. Your featured and your activity sections show up first. So the featured section is the section where you can highlight your posts. You can highlight as many posts as you want, but LinkedIn will display only your last 5 highlighted posts. You get access to LinkedIn Live and newsletter, and very important, you have access to analytics. What is the difference between a low quality post and a high quality post? Let's start with a high quality post. It's easy to read. So make sure you break the text when you post something on LinkedIn. You can add bullet points to make sure it stands out and it's visually pleasing, because a lot of people, myself included, skim through the posts on LinkedIn. So if it's not visually pleasing, for example, I wouldn't stop to read it. If it's hard to read, I would just move on and ignore it. Try to encourage responses with a question at the end of the post, because ultimately you want people to engage with what you are saying, and this can help beat the algorithm. But we will talk about this later. Don't add more than 5 hashtags. So I often see very good pieces of content, but then I see 20, 25 hashtags at the end. This won't help your post perform better. So hashtags don't work anymore. Instead, make sure you use strong keywords that are connected to your unique value proposition and to your goal, to the benefits that you offer, and to the message that you want to deliver. And please tag people who are likely to actually respond. So this means no tagging Oprah. Don't tag people that never engage with your posts or have no interest in responding, because
Christiana,
LinkedIn
we
will...
just seem to be holding you there for a second.
Yes? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you again. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay. So I was talking about the tags. So I don't know if you heard this.
Maybe just go back four sentences would be fine.
Okay. So I was talking about tagging people on LinkedIn. So make sure you don't tag people that are not likely to actually respond, because LinkedIn will mark this post as a low quality post and then won't show it to people. It will mark it as spam, to be honest. So the low quality posts are the ones that are not following best practices. And I will give you some tips in a few moments. And also very important, if you can't make your post engaging, then the algorithm will consider it low quality. So if you share something and you have no reactions and no comments in the first 30 to 60 minutes, then LinkedIn will mark this as low quality post and will stop showing it to people. So make sure that what you write is inspiring and is impactful. So how do we measure the impact of our LinkedIn strategy? In order to identify the metrics that we need to take into consideration, we need to look at the goals. So it's not about how many people view your profile, it's about who is viewing it. Take this into consideration as well. So the metrics that you should focus on, that you should track, and I would say weekly, depending on how often you post, of course, are the number of followers, the number of connections, impressions, reactions, clicks, the direct messages that you receive, and the booked calls, the discovery calls. Please be aware of vanity metrics. So these are the metrics that feel good to look at, like the number of likes, but they lack clear guidance for the next steps. So while they can help with the performance of the post and to beat the algorithm, because of course we want to get likes, they don't give us any insights in what works and what doesn't work, what type of content is more interesting or appeals more to the audience. Instead, look at the actionable metrics, the ones that can be used to inform better content decisions. For example, the number of followers. This shows that people are interested in reading what you have to say. And if they connect with you, then they're ready to take it one step further. So what are the metrics that you should look at? Again, make sure you connect them to the goals that you set up. For example, if your goal is to grow your community, then you need to look at the number of followers and connection requests. If your goal is to raise brand awareness, look at the number of impressions, the engagement, the shares, mention, clicks, followers. And if you want to get new leads, then look at the number of connections, the direct messages that you receive, and how many people actually book calls with you. And finally, here are some tips for posting on LinkedIn. Please make sure or do your best to write for human emotion. Like I said before, try to use storytelling because we remember story better than we would remember statistics. Try to be authentic, share your achievements, your failures, your challenges, the lessons you've learned. And try to find a unique angle to differentiate yourself from your competitors. So don't be afraid to let your personality shine, to let your personality show, because this is what makes you unique after all. Always write for your ideal clients. So don't write for the general audience, for everybody, because you need to find your niche. And try to mix it up, vary the content. So if one day you post a video, then the next day post text, the day after that post an image, and so on. Make the most of the opening line. So the opening line is the first sentence that we see when somebody shares a post on LinkedIn. And if the opening line is good and is interesting, then we click on read more. And LinkedIn takes this metric into consideration. And if there's a high number of people that click on read more, then LinkedIn will show your post to more and more people. So it's very important to make the most of the opening line, to make it engaging. Show how you solve problems, show real life examples, show the benefits of working with you, and try to be consistent. So if you post every couple of weeks or every couple of months, don't expect to see results. LinkedIn, like any other social platform, wants to keep us on the platform. So it's very important that you spend a few minutes every day or every couple of days. And another great tip is to repurpose your content. So I can understand that it's very difficult to run a successful business and to always try to find unique and engaging content. So if you're not working with a copywriter or with a social media manager, go on your website, look at the articles that you have there, go on your LinkedIn and look at the older posts that you shared, and try to recycle the content that you have, make some edits and reshare it again, because this will help you be more productive. Avoid outbound links. So maybe you've seen this already. There are a lot of people that are adding the link to comments. So the link to an article on the website or the link to an event. And this is because LinkedIn wants to keep you on the platform, like I already mentioned, and doesn't like links that redirect you outside the platform. So if you add the link to your post, then LinkedIn will mark that as low quality post and will show it to less people. Try to batch and automate. So you can use the scheduling feature on LinkedIn, or you can use tools such as Zoho Social, Hootsuite, Buffer. You can do batch writing and then split the posts and then schedule them in advance, because I understand you're very busy, so you don't have time to go on LinkedIn and try to post every day or every couple of days. Something very, very important is to respond to comments as soon as they come in, because this will help with the performance of the post and it will help the post stay on top of the feed. And ultimately engage with others. Don't be afraid to comment, to congratulate them for their achievements. Don't be afraid to send messages. Try to build relationships, because this is what LinkedIn is all about. And please make sure that you align with your goal. So everything that you post is aligned with your unique value proposition and with your goal. So here are some key takeaways, because I know I gave you a lot of information, and I just want to emphasize a few things that I consider them to be extremely important. Make sure you connect your unique value proposition to your strategy. And like I said, your unique value proposition should be clear and concise, and should give a clear image of your ideal client. And your ideal visitors should see your unique value proposition. It should be one of the first things that they see when they visit your profile. Be consistent, try to post 2 to 3 times per week, if possible. Always write with your ideal clients in mind, because at the end of the day, you want to do business with certain clients. Be truly authentic. So this doesn't mean just sharing a bunch of selfies and stories about how hard your life has been, but it means to stay true to your values, and means practicing what you preach. Look at the actionable metrics. So be aware of the vanity metrics that I mentioned. And again, connect the metrics with the goals. And please engage with others. Don't be afraid to let your personality show, build relationships, send direct messages, go try to meet outside LinkedIn, because you shouldn't rely only on LinkedIn to generate brand awareness, or to grow your business. You should combine it with other marketing efforts like networking, or writing articles, or trying to get featured in the media. And I won't let you go before I give you some homework. Here are some things that you should do in the next 24 hours. And please let me know how you get on. Optimize your LinkedIn profile. So look at the beginning of the masterclass and look at the 7 questions that I mentioned, and make sure that you have all the sections filled in, and make sure that your unique value proposition is clear and concise, and your ideal clients can see it and can understand what is it that you're offering. Customize your hyperlink. So I don't want to see any additional letters and numbers. Your hyperlink should include your first name and your last name, and that's it. And you would be surprised how often I see this. And this is not good, because it makes it harder for people to find you on LinkedIn. Turn on the creator mode. Add your unique value proposition to your headline. Try to set your LinkedIn goal. For example, get 5 new leads in 1 month. Connect strategically with 15 people. And when I say strategically, I mean, if you are a career and confidence coach, for example, and you're focusing on next-gen women, then you don't want to connect with male psychotherapists. So try to identify your ideal audience and connect strategically with people that are part of the ideal clients that you work with. And comment on 10 posts. So here it is. This is the homework that I encourage you to do in the next 24 hours. It shouldn't take long. And I have some resources here. 25 questions to ask yourself when writing a LinkedIn post. If we have time, I can still go through them.
Yeah, that's fine, Christiana. Please
okay.
do. Yeah.
So let's start with the headline. Ask yourself if it's clear enough, if it's short enough for mobile, because a lot of people are using their mobiles to browse, to scroll on LinkedIn. Is it specific enough? Is it impactful? Does it engage an emotion? Does it address a common problem or a question that you get often from your clients? And will this stop the scroll? This is very important. Then the body, is it clear enough? Is it specific enough? Are you giving enough away? So are you solving problems? Are you being honest enough, transparent enough? Is the text broken up enough? So very important to make your post easy to read and visually pleasing. Is there a good reading rhythm to this post? So try to be aware of all of these things. And of course, the end. Does the end sum up the post well? Will the reader remember the last line? What emotion will the reader feel? So like I said, write for human emotion. Does this last line have a lasting impact? And then does the last line lead into the call to action in comments? If the post is too long, does the summary give a quick takeaway for skim readers, myself included? So please try to take into consideration these questions. I know there's a lot of information. You can focus only a few to start with, and it will help you write better posts and more engaging posts. That's it. I hope you found my masterclass useful. I think we have some time for questions now, but I'm always available. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, or you can email me anytime if you have any questions, or if you want any additional resources. I'm more than happy to share them with you.
Christiana, thank you. I mean, that was really interesting, and we've got a lot of questions actually, and we had some emailed in as well from people.
Okay.
So maybe we'll do it by the numbers. And in fairness,
Okay.
I think Kevin Thompson asked the question. I suppose, what is an impression on LinkedIn? What is the difference between an impression and a reaction?
Okay, so that's a very good question. So an impression is a person that sees your post on their feed. And a reaction is a like, or is, well, the like or the what other reactions are there when you click on insightful or on like, or there are a number of emojis, so to call them, they're called reactions. So what are likes on Facebook? Or you can leave the heart on Facebook. So on LinkedIn, there are 5 or 6. You can like, you can find it useful, you can show that you care. So there are just a few. So the reactions show that your post is interesting for people, that it makes them stop and react to your post. While the impressions just show that show how many people saw it without reacting to it.
So you're looking for the thumbs up or kind of
yes, exactly,
reaction. Okay,
exactly.
or insightful. Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
So John McCormack asked a question in terms of a professional image on LinkedIn versus personal information on Facebook. And I guess maybe it's, John, if I'm correct, it's that kind of consistency between the two. So can one undo the other with image and brand? And what's your view between that Facebook and LinkedIn consistency piece?
So if it depends on the type of business, of course. So if I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? I just want to make sure I understand what the question is.
Okay, so professional image on LinkedIn versus personal information on Facebook. One can undo the other with image and brand. What's your thoughts?
Oh, okay, I understand. So of course you have to, everybody has access to your profiles nowadays. So you have to be careful with what you post. And I don't believe that if you add a professional photo on LinkedIn and you have a more personal photo on Facebook, it can affect the brand, because nowadays people want to see who is the person behind the brand, behind the business. So, and a lot of people actually share personal photos on LinkedIn. So my answer is no, it won't affect the business and the brand.
Okay.
Negatively. It won't negatively affect the business and the brand.
And that, speaking of brand and business, I mean, that perennial question that everyone asks, you know, business page or personal page, which way to go?
Okay, yes, I get this question asked quite a lot. So unless you're running a company with thousands of followers and you have to send a lot of information, then I say focus more on your personal LinkedIn, because at the end of the day, people want to do business with you, with the person behind the brand. And it can be time consuming to invest in developing, in growing your company page, your business page, and your personal LinkedIn. So make sure to focus only on one. We tried doing that with some of my clients. We were initially focusing only on the company page, and then we saw little engagement. So we decided to focus all our efforts on the personal LinkedIn, and we saw great results.
Okay. And to that end, what's your view on kind of the regular LinkedIn versus LinkedIn Premium?
So there are advantages to LinkedIn Premium. It's not a must-have, but for example, but I do believe it's valuable for growing your business. The advantages are that you can see how many people, you can see who is viewing your profile and how they found you. So this gives you insights, and you can then adapt your content strategy so that the ideal visitors find you better. Then you have access to thousands of courses on a variety of topics. And there's another interesting tool with LinkedIn Premium called the Sales Navigator. And it's an advanced search tool, and that allows you to identify leads. So it can help you connect with potential clients. So I'd say it's a valuable investment that can help you grow your business.
So another question that came up, it was a two-part question for you, Christiana. What is the best time to post?
Okay.
And could you explain how scheduling works on LinkedIn?
Okay, so the best practices say that the best time for posting is Monday to Thursday, 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. and Friday around 11 a.m. But make sure that you post every day at the same time, because then people know when to expect your post.
Okay.
And sorry, your second question was?
Where is the LinkedIn scheduling found?
So when you share a post, you just click on the box and you want to share a post. You type your text, you add your picture or your video. On the bottom right, you have this icon. It's like a clock icon that allows you, and if you click on it, then you can select the date and the time, and voila, you scheduled your post. But LinkedIn hasn't made this option available for everybody yet.
Okay.
It's like the LinkedIn newsletter. I don't know if you know this. I mean, we've been trying for some of my clients to do a LinkedIn newsletter, and it took forever for us to have the option available.
Okay. And when do you think you'll start seeing results, Christiana, if you adopt these sort of strategies?
So LinkedIn is it's an investment in the future. You won't see immediate results, but if you have a strategy, and if you're being consistent, and if you engage with other people, you leave comments, you send messages, you introduce yourself, then you will start to see results. So I can't tell you if it is going to be 5 months, 6 months, a year. What I can tell you is that it takes a long time, and the sooner you start, the faster you will see results. So I've been working with the career and confidence coach, the client that I presented in the case study, for almost three years, and we started to see significant results after 9 months of working together, of posting on LinkedIn.
Okay, that's interesting. And I know Kevin has a question there in terms of outbound links, and I suppose that I would add to that as well, maybe in terms of, say you have an event and on Eventbrite, which by definition is going to be an outbound link, and you're posting it. What's your view on that?
Okay, so yes, I that's a very good question, because I work with clients who have events or online courses on Eventbrite, and we add the link to the comments. So we write the post, we try to make it as engaging as possible. Sometimes there will be a video of my client introducing the event. And then what we do is we either add the link to comments. So we say in the body of the text, if you're interested in this event, you can find the link in comments. Or another approach, if you're interested in this event, send me a message and I will send you the link. Because you don't want to spam people on LinkedIn. This is now how it works. It's about building relationships.
Okay, and Kevin asked kind of a supplementary question there in terms of slideshare.net. Is that part of LinkedIn? Because we often get this question ourselves in terms of sharing PDFs, for example, on LinkedIn can be quite tricky or difficult on occasions. So in terms of sharing that information, he specifically asks, so what is the best way to share backup detail on a post? Is slideshare.net part of the LinkedIn, and is it a good option, for example?
So I believe that the best option is to design a carousel and then upload it on LinkedIn. because you can see better engagement this way.
Okay.
A carousel is a series of images. I'm sure you must have seen this already.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So yeah,
Okay.
this is the best approach to take.
And speaking of approaches, we have to ask you
Mhm.
the 600-pound gorilla in the room, Christiana. Talk to us about your views on ChatGPT in terms of how it works with LinkedIn.
Okay. So you have to remember or to take into consideration that ChatGPT works with you and not for you. So if you plan on using ChatGPT to write your content or to research our ideas, don't rely only on it. Use it as yet another source. Make sure to combine it with other articles, but it can help you be more productive.
Okay. And is there any particular kind of, you mentioned articles, for example, and so on, and content in articles. How often should you be posting articles?
So instead of posting articles, what I find that works better is to either design a video or create a carousel or just add text with the key points and link it to your website, because you want to send people to your website because you want them to see the services that you're offering.
Okay.
So I would say test out this approach and see if it works for you.
Okay. And one final question. Who does LinkedIn not suit? For example, those in PAYE jobs like the army or the guards or something like that. Is there particular professions that it doesn't suit? Now, I'm working on the assumption, and we are here today, that a lot of the members of the Institute of Management Consultants would be, by definition, not in PAYE jobs. So the majority of our members probably wouldn't be, or rather, sorry, they wouldn't be in that side of the house. Rather, obviously they're paying the PAYE. But is there any particular kind of areas that it's not necessarily suited to?
So I'm thinking plumbers maybe,
Okay.
or
I think we've
mechanics.
slightly
Plumbers.
frozen Christiana
Oh, sorry.
there.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Hello?
Sorry, we lost you there for a moment, Christiana. Are there any kind of areas that it's not ideally suited? I know we picked it up at the beginning in terms of Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, but do you think there's any kind of professions that it's not particularly suited to?
I'm thinking mechanics, plumbers, maybe Facebook would be
Okay.
more suitable for them. But you know,
Okay.
I see, for
I
example,
think we're running into some glitches here, folks, in terms of Christiana's and perhaps our own signal. So what I want to say is we're going to wrap it up now, conscious of time. Christiana, thank you so much. We're just wrapping it up, Christiana. We're having some technical glitches at the moment, so we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Really appreciate that. It's been a wonderful session, really a lot of information that you shared. We're going to post this thereafter once the recordings come through. Thanks, guys, for your attendance. Appreciate your time. Our next session is actually on ChatGPT on the 5th of July. We're really excited with that. That's Joe Houghton, who's just wrote a book on the subject, and we'll be sharing some information in front of that. Christiana has kindly shared her information if any of you want to follow up with her or indeed want to kind of seek her professional advice. She is the guru in this space at the moment, and she's available to kind of take some calls from you in terms of professional advice and so forth. Christiana, as we say in Gaelic, we really appreciate that. Thank you for your time on behalf of everyone that's here, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of the day and that the weather remains shining and the sun keeps smiling for you. God bless.
Thank you so much,
Good day.
Pat. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.